All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is the Assembly Committee on Utilities and Commerce, and this is our Wednesday, June 22nd, 2016 hearing. We do have a fairly light agenda today, and we will be going through it in due course. We do not have enough members to establish a quorum just yet, but we will start as a subcommittee. And the first bill on our agenda is Senate Bill 661 by Senator Jerry Hill. And I am talking as slowly as I could possibly do so as he makes his way up to the dais. Thank you, Mr. Hill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And members, this SB 661 is a reintroduction of last year's safe digging bill, SB 119, which passed this committee before being vetoed by the governor in October. Since October, my office has been working with the administration to address the concerns articulated in the governor's veto, as well as implementation challenges. The committee amendments listed on page 5 and following of the analysis reflect these discussions with one clarification. The administration has made it clear that the CPUC must continue to have their existing authority, including their limited authority over telecommunications companies, no more and no less. And I will continue to engage the administration, this committee, and the stakeholders to craft language that addresses his veto message. The amendments which I ask that you adopt make two major changes to last year's bill. SB 119 created an advisory committee under the Contractor State License Board with responsibility to conduct accident investigations, develop standards, and coordinate education and research. The amendments turn the advisory committee into a board and place it under the Office of the State Fire Marshal. The board is given enforcement power over persons and entities where there is no existing applicable regulator. The need for uniform enforcement was highlighted by yet another dig-in fatality in November, when an employee working for an agricultural contractor was killed after striking a 36-inch PG&E backbone transmission line in Bakersfield. The second major change introduced by these amendments will roll back the temporary exemptions that SB 119 had granted, thereby providing no exemptions to calling 811 before digging that do not already exist in current law. I and the administration still have our work to do. In particular, we need to work with the agricultural community to address notification requirements on agricultural land. The 811 calling requirements were developed with construction activities in mind and do not appear to have considered agricultural activities. This is a problem in current law, and it is one we definitely want to address. This and other details still need more discussion. I do want to assure that the liability provisions that were worked out last year after long, difficult negotiations remain unchanged by these amendments. That discussion is over. I appreciate the faith this committee placed in me a year ago to work out the final details of last year's dig-in bill. I don't believe I let you down then, and I hope you'll place the same faith in me now. I respectfully ask for your aye vote on the bill with the suggested amendments listed in the committee analysis.
Thank you very much. And we do have faith in you. We know that there's a little bit more to go with this bill as it moves forward in the process, and we just ask that you work very closely with our committee staff,
we will be,
as you did last year.
Most helpful, the committee staff. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Now let's go to witnesses in support.
Mr. Chair and members, my name is Brett Barrow with United Contractors, the National Electrical Contractors Association, and the California Legislative Conference of the Plumbing, Heating, and Piping Industry. We represent approximately over 3,000 contractors throughout the state who excavate on a regular basis, large, heavy highway and bridge mainly. We're here today in support after following a very, very lengthy stakeholder process that has resulted in a bill that addresses a comprehensive approach to the dig-in laws. And that is one where the contractors are responsible for properly notifying of their excavation and receiving the proper marks and then excavating prudently around those marks. And the operators are responsible for showing up and marking on time and marking properly. And we feel that that is a huge step in the proper direction. So for those reasons, we support.
Thank you. Next witness.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Todd Bloomstein for the Southern California Contractors Association in support. We've been party to these discussions for the last 2 years, 3 years, 2 years.
2.5.
Our issues were threefold. They're all taken care of here in the bill. The first one was the liability, as the good senator discussed. The second one was if you're going to increase enforcement on excavators and contractors, then we would prefer that the governing board on enforcement consisted of some contractors. The bill meets that requirement as well. And then finally, what SCCA members have been asking for consistently throughout this process are a set of standards for them to follow in order to discover the underground utilities. Specifically, how often should we pothole? What should the frequency be for potholing? What the distance should be? Is there a difference if you're in a rural area or an urban area? We trust that this new governing board will come up with a set of standards that we can live with. For that reason, we request your support.
Terrific. Thank you. Next witness.
Members of the committee, my name is Bill Devine, and I represent AT&T, and we too have been at the table for many, many years, both with Senator Hill and certainly before then, trying to find new, clear rules regarding excavation. As you might imagine, we have thousands of miles of infrastructure, critical infrastructure under the ground here in California and across the United States. This bill is critical to be able to establish clear rules, clear penalties, and most importantly, education and training for excavators on a going forward basis. So we are in support of this bill as amended by this committee. And so thank the chair and his staff, and I also want to thank Senator Hill for taking these amendments. However, I also want to highlight the testimony of Mr. Hill, and that is, or Senator Hill, that we want to give the Public Utilities Commission no more and no less jurisdiction in this legislation on a going forward basis. We support that point of view. There is no objective here to reduce Public Utilities Commission jurisdiction over telecommunications carriers. On the other hand, we do oppose expanding that jurisdiction any further than what it is today. And it sounds like we're in sync, Senator, so we're happy to support the bill with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Devine.
Thank you very much. Next witness.
Mr. Chairman, members, Pete Conity, and I represent the Underground Service Alert of Southern California. So if you're in Southern California, you're the people we call us to go out and have the markings put on the ground, and we have been involved in this process. Senator Hill and his staff have been real champions at sticking at this as long as they have. We are in support of the bill. A few minor little things we'll work on, but we respectfully urge that you vote for this good piece of legislation. Thank you.
Kent Kaus with Pacific Gas and Electric in full support of the bill. This bill has been worked on for a couple of years now. We really appreciate sticking to the core principles, no additional exemptions, an enforcement program that's trusted by a new independent body that can look at the issues, not be biased in one way or the other. Full support of the bill and ask for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, Doug Subers on behalf of the Western States Petroleum Association. We don't have a formal position on the bill, but certainly support it moving forward. I'd like to thank Senator Hill and the committee for continuing to work on this in the governor's office, and we look forward to working through some of the key provisions in the amendments. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there public comment in support? Let's go to witnesses in opposition.
Chairman and committee members, Karen Mills for the California Farm Bureau Federation. We don't have a official position on the bill. Still looking at the amendments. I just do want to recognize the work that we did with Senator Hill and his staff the last year in working through extensively on some of the concerns that we had and how to make this workable for the Agricultural Committee, and we arrived at a place we could live with last year. That being said, we have a number of concerns with the amendments which we hope to be able to work through, and we appreciate the senator's call out to work with the agricultural community and to further discuss those. We haven't had an opportunity to convey the concerns to them yet, and so we're looking forward to the chance to do that. And so without going into detail, just want to reflect that much of the concern that we have is based on the advisory committee being transmorgified into an enforcement entity, and how that colors the applicability of the other provisions in the bill, because it does impact how they're viewed when it becomes an enforcement entity, and the structure of it and its continuance and how it develops standards and what that means for our members who own land throughout the state and have to deal with this on an ongoing basis. So just as sort of a shorthand expression of the concerns, and we'll keep working on it.
Thank you. And if we could just indulge us for a second, we're going to establish a quorum so we can vote on the bill in due course. So, Madam Secretary.
Gatto?
I'm here.
Gatto here. Patterson?
Here.
Patterson here. Burke? Chavez?
Here.
Chavez here. Daly? Here. Daly here. Eggman? Christina Garcia? Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia here. Hadley?
Here.
Hadley here. Roger Hernandez? Obernolte?
Here.
Obernolte here. Quirk?
Here.
Quirk here. Santiago? Ting Williams.
All right. I did not mean to interrupt you, but please, the floor is yours. Next witness in opposition.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. Lauren Nolan-Tajic on behalf of California Citrus Mutual, California Fresh Fruit Association, and California Cotton and Ginners and Growers Association. We'd like to align our position with the California Farm Bureau in that we don't have an official position. We've been working very closely with the Senator and his staff and appreciate everything he's been doing and his continued commitment. But again, we are concerned, especially with the new enforcement board and the makeup of the board. There is one position available for someone familiar with agriculture, commercial, or other types of property, including residential. And we think there should be, if it's going to be an enforcement board, have more positions that have the people who actually are on the ground excavating, calling the numbers, familiar with the industries and different property types to help set up those standards and ensure that those that are calling 811, the standards align with also the operators and what they need to ensure that their lines are safe. Thank you.
Move the bill.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. Tricia Geringer with Agricultural Council of California. Just echoing the concerns of my predecessors. We don't have a formal position, meeting with the administration, and we greatly appreciate Senator Hill for his open door policy. We continue to work on the legislation. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Lisa Rodriguez with the California Association of Wine Grape Growers, actually with the Guaca Group on behalf of the wine grape growers. We do have some concerns as well, but we appreciate the author and the governor's office working with us, and I'm echoing the same concerns as the other agri communities.
Thank you. Is there public comment in opposition? Seeing none, we're going to bring it back to members of the committee. Are there questions or comments? Mr. Obernolte.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator, last year, obviously, this bill had a long gestational period, and when it was in this committee, I raised a concern that a owner of private property could be digging in his backyard, planting a rose bush with a hand trowel, and the bill would have required him to call 811. And you were very gracious in adding an exemption for that kind of activity into the bill. This year, I was happy to see that you included that exemption when you introduced the bill. However, the amendments that you're proposing to take in this committee appear to delete that exemption. So could you address that? Because that's very concerning to me.
The homeowner exemption is still in law, and that should be replaced. The amendments didn't take that exemption or remove that exemption.
Okay, well, maybe I misunderstood, but I'm looking on page 17 of the analysis. It looks like in section 11, section 4216.8, it deletes that first section A that said an owner of residential real property as performing or improving his or her personal residence using hand tools that does not require a permit issued by a local agency is not an excavator, and that it is crossed out in the amendments.
That's the exemption.
The bill no longer amends the section of the law.
And the current law says it. Gives the exemption. Right. What we did is we removed this from the bill and this language, but the current law already has that exemption in it.
Okay.
So this is the exemption is in place, and we removed this from this bill.
Okay, I don't dispute you. I would like to verify for myself. Last year, I don't think that was the case, and that's why we had to put the exemption in the bill.
And I think that's why it's been removed now. Well, I don't know if that case, but I think we removed it because we removed all of the exemptions specifically called out in the bill, but there is still the homeowner exemption, which is in current law, is what we have. I think this exemption may have gone beyond what the current law is, but the exemption is still in current law. But we'll get you that.
That's all right. We'll work on that. I'll have to. I'll look at that. That's just, you understand that that's very important to me, because the idea that I could be digging in my backyard wanting to plant a rose bush with a hand trowel and have to call 811. I think that that's obviously not what we intend.
That's exactly not what we.
I want to make sure that we exclude that. So I will. I'd love to support the bill. I'll just stay off it today, and then we'll. I'll see, and you and I can work together on that.
Great.
All right. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you. I just want to register the same concerns that agriculture has brought to the table here, without satisfying those outstanding concerns. And I hope you will be working with them and fix the bill in such a way that those concerns are eliminated. Agriculture is important in a lot of the areas that we represent, and appreciate that they're at the table. I can't be a vote for it now, but if you will take seriously the concerns of agriculture and their concerns could be mitigated, I would like to be a yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Quirk.
I have no doubt that the senator will meet and confer and satisfy ag, and that's why I moved the bill, and I know that a great job will be done, so that's why I'll be voting yes.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you. Bill has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any other comments or questions from the committee? Then you may close if you wish.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And briefly, I certainly heard agriculture, and that's why I mentioned it in my statement. We are equally as concerned, and we worked very closely with them over the last 2 years, because ag is a very important part of the state. But also, as we know, that accident that occurred last year in Bakersfield was on ag land, and they get harmed, and we want to make sure that the ag community is safe, one, and that they are provided with the uniqueness in terms of regulation that their community certainly deserves, and that's what we will work closely with them to make sure we solve that. So thank you. Appreciate it, and I vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass as amended with the amendments shown in the committee analysis and re-refer to the Appropriations Committee. Gatto?
Aye.
Gatto, aye. Patterson?
No.
Patterson, no. Burke? Burke, aye. Chavez? Chavez, not voting. Daly? Daly, no. Eggman? Aye. Eggman, aye. Cristina Garcia? Eduardo Garcia? Hadley? Aye. Hadley, aye. Roger Hernandez? Obernolte? Not voting. Obernolte, not voting. Quirk?
Aye.
Quirk, aye. Santiago? Aye. Santiago, aye. Ting? Williams?
Okay, we're going to place on a call, and we will hold the roll open we'll reopen it. We'll lift the call when we have more members here.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you very much. We have 2 bills on consent, including your other one today. Those bills on consent are Senate Bill 968 by Monning and Senate Bill 1028 by Hill. I will entertain a motion on the consent calendar this time.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Let's call the roll. Thank you.
The motion on SB 968 is due pass as amended with the amendment shown in the committee analysis and re-refer to the Appropriations Committee. The motion on SB 1028 is due pass and re-refer to the Appropriations Committee. Gatto.
Aye.
Gatto, aye. Patterson.
Aye.
Patterson, aye. Burke. Aye. Burke, aye. Chavez. Aye. Chavez, aye. Daly. Aye. Daly, aye. Eggman. Eggman, aye. Cristina Garcia. Eduardo Garcia. Hadley. Aye. Hadley, aye. Hernandez. Obernolte. Aye. Obernolte, aye. Quirk.
Aye.
Quirk, aye. Santiago. Aye. Santiago, aye. Ting. Williams.
The consent calendar is adopted. Next, we have item number 7, which is Senate Bill 1463 by Mr. Morlock. Welcome. I see Mr. Morlock is joined by the illustrious Robert Whalen from Laguna Beach. Welcome.
Thank you, Chairman Gatto, for recognizing my witness. It is an honor to be before you. And want to just accept the committee's amendments, and we're also still entertaining additional ones for natural resources. Colleagues.
And so just to be clear, I'm told that some of them, or is it the bulk of them, will be taken in natural resources, not here today.
Correct.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
As you can tell from the hot weather and even driving around town, it is now wildfire season. And the heat wave isn't helping the situation much. We're all being impacted around the state. And it turns out it costs $1 million per day to address wildfires, which eventually comes out of the state's general fund. So in my community, since 2007, we've had on one road 46 vehicle collisions that have hit overhead poles and knocked down electric lines, which could spark a fire. This is in the on the Laguna Canyon Road, which is one of 3 entries into the city of Laguna Beach. So a broken electrical wire can cause severe wildfires. This happened just last year with the 7th most destructive fire in the state, with the Butte fire, which was caused by an electrical wire. It even included 2 casualties, regretfully. So I believe we can maintain beautiful open space and residences if we are very careful. And one way to be careful is to address these overhead electrical lines and ask the CPUC to prioritize undergrounding and other remedies in areas with highly concentrated populations like Laguna Beach. This is an opportunity for our state's electrical utilities to work with CAL FIRE and the impacted cities and communities to be more proactive in protecting our wilderness areas. Orange County Santa Ana Mountains, which we're really blessed with the Cleveland National Forest, another open area that was donated by the Irvine Company to the County of Orange. It's built to take a fire every 60 years, but not every few years. We're wiping out some incredible native species that are unique even just to Orange County. So we've worked with all the stakeholders on this bill, Mr. Chair. We've kept everyone apprised of all the changes. We've accepted all constructive amendments and hopefully been open and willing to meet with everyone concerning this matter. And it's an honor to have the Honorable Bob Whalen, who is on the City Council of Laguna Beach, as my witness.
Let's go to first witness in support.
Welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, for the opportunity to speak. I've been working with Senator Morlock for several months now on this bill as a result of a fire that was sparked by down utility lines in our community last July 3rd. Laguna Beach is a small community, but we have nearly 6 million visitors a year who are at risk, we think, from fires caused by utility lines. We're surrounded by 16,000 acres of open space, like many communities in Southern California who border the wildland areas. So why is Senate Bill 1463 so sorely needed? We think it's a common sense fire safety measure that deserves your support. The CUPC has spent the last 8 years developing a fire map known as Fire Map 1, which was approved on May 16 of this year. It's to be followed by Fire Map 2. Fire Map 1, frankly, is so deficient in delineating areas of high risk for fire that we need the legislature to step in and adopt this measure. It's important to note that despite the fact that Laguna Beach has long been designated as a very high fire severity zone by CAL FIRE, we've been identified on Fire Map 1 after 8 years by the CPUC as a low-risk area. Likewise, the City of Calabasas, also recognized as a high fire severity zone by CAL FIRE, is not recognized as a high fire zone on Fire Map 1. As you know, Calabasas experienced the old fire just a couple weeks ago, burned over 500 acres. And as Senator Hill has confirmed, Fire Map 1 does not designate Butte, the Butte fire point of origin, as a high-risk fire area. So I think it's critical that the legislature direct the CPUC to take into considerations the concerns of local governments and fire departments as it determines which areas across the state are high-risk fire areas to prioritize and which are ones that are deserving of enhanced fire mitigation measures. We can't do this alone. We really need your support to give direction to the CPUC and the utilities. I think it's our role, all of us as elected officials, to make sure we act prudently with respect to fire safety and public safety measures, and I respectfully ask for your support of this bill. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Are there any other witnesses in support? Public comment in support?
Good afternoon. Stacy Heaton with the Rural County Representatives of California. We represent 35 rural counties statewide. Most of our counties are forested counties, and in fact, the Butte Fire took place entirely within our member counties. Our counties are in grave danger of wildfire risk, and in case you all didn't hear, we had the Forest Service announce this morning that an additional 26 million trees died from tree mortality since October 2015, according to their aerial surveys. We believe that the measures outlined in SB 1463 would be greatly important to our member counties in helping reduce the risk of wildfire, and we are here in support today.
Terrific. Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak in support? Let's go to witnesses in opposition.
Second.
Bill's been moved by Mr. Hernandez, seconded by Mr. Quirk.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members. Bernie Orozco with the California Cable and Telecommunications Association. We're formally opposed to the measure, but with today's committee amendments, we withdraw that opposition. However, I would say, though, if in Natural Resources Committee, if there is a movement to make amendments to the bill that would force undergrounding of electrical lines, we would then return to oppose. But as amended today here, we move that opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other witnesses in opposition? Seeing none, questions or comments? Ms. Eggman.
It's not really a question just as much as a comment. I just think we need to keep saying every time we call the CPUC in here, we berate them for not doing everything that we've asked them to do. They tell us they don't have the capacity to do everything we've asked them to do, and now we're asking them to do something else. So I just think we should just continue to mention that. We keep tasking an agency with something that they tell us they can't do. We need to do something different.
You can address that if you wish.
Well, actually, the CPUC was very accommodating with our request. It was CAL FIRE that came up with a rather high number to put staff on it, and I want to be careful, but looking at maps and where population centers are and where wild areas are, I didn't see that as a two-year job. I saw that more as like a 2-week job, maybe. So it's just getting simple data for databases on the computer to say, hey, where do we need to start focusing? You know, where are the priorities? That's what we're asking for.
And the committee is very mindful of that. It's
not objection to your bill.
Thank you.
It's the committee's viewpoint that this is sort of within a core function of the CPUC, whereas some of the other things that they've engaged in are not necessarily a core function. But good point. Ms. Burke, followed by Mr. Daly.
So I think I have a question based on a concern, actually, and my understanding is it's $1 million per mile to put these lines underground, and that low-income communities will be also part of paying for this. However, when I look at the support and when I looked at the map, I didn't see a lot of low-income communities that were going to actually benefit from paying for this. And so my question to you is that in fact correct? And if there are low-income communities that are going to benefit from this, can you give me a couple examples? We've tried. We've called your office, but I just haven't really gotten any.
Well, Assemblywoman Burke, I think you've stumped the band. I can't name some low-income. I wasn't prepared for that question, but the issue is where are the population centers and who are we trying to protect? Certainly with the rural counties, you're going to have a lot of communities, maybe fixed-income communities, but I could certainly get that for you. I don't know if
we did take a look at some of them, and it just didn't have much time to gather the information, but Hesperia, Colton, areas along the foothills in San Bernardino County and the far edge of Riverside County would be some examples. I'm sure there's many more. So we could, I'm sure, gather information on that.
Thank you. Mr. Daly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I have the CAL FIRE's high severity map in my office. I use it quite frequently because most of the state is a high severity area, including most of my district, which power lines run through this state all over the place. The ratepayer right now today is paying the bill to have trees removed and brush and those type of things which cause fire. In this case, I think your goal is to underground. You said that you had vehicle collisions with power poles. So how would the I guess the goal of this is to do what? To tell CAL FIRE to go out and thin the trees out, or to keep the brush down, or to mandate that the CPUC go and put underground? What's the long-term goal of this piece of legislation? We already have in place a mechanism to take out the hazard trees, we call them, and brush in those areas where we have, like the Butte fire was basically one of those opportunities where we had, it was started by a tree. So I guess I'm trying to figure out who's going to pay. Are the ratepayers going to pay, or are the people of Laguna Beach going to pay to underground if they want it underground?
Let me attack it from two areas, Assemblyman Dolly. The first is we would just be happy if the CPUC would just talk to communities and look at the facts, look at the data, and start working on their priorities. They're already required to make these improvements. It's a matter of where and how. So I'd be just tickled if we could just get more cooperation to just work on that component. On the second, we're not demanding undergrounding. It would be nice in certain areas. I don't know how to explain Laguna Canyon Road. I don't know if it was people falling asleep, or whether it was DUI, or whether it was curves. I don't know. But they're just wood poles, and not the massive power poles that you might think of in certain areas of the state. So if we could help communities do something, and where they need to chip in and pay for it themselves, I believe they should do that, and that's what the city of Laguna Beach has already started to do. So I'll let Mr. Whalen finish.
Well, it's, Assemblymember, in direct answer to your question, the bill is not looking to mandate undergrounding, but undergrounding may be identified as one of the enhanced fire mitigation measures because it's a tool in the box. And, I think to go down the rabbit hole of saying, well, if you're undergrounding here, that has to be paid for here, is a dangerous one to go into, because you look already at the $4 billion a year capital budget that Edison has, and they're replacing steel poles, 50, 80 miles away from us. They're putting in extra, thick lines. That's not localized to the areas where those poles are going, and that's just a system-wide cost. So there may well be examples of situations in where an undergrounding is appropriate and should be paid for as a system rate. So that's my view.
Mr. Quirk.
I think the bill is well balanced. Well, first of all, while the Laguna Beach may have been the precipitant of this, it does look across the state, and there's no communities called out, and I find that a great thing about the bill. The other thing is it does not call for undergrounding. If it did, I would not support it, period. But what it said is, and they've made this clear in the suggested amendments, is that Department of Forestry and Fire Protection shall prioritize areas in which communities have additional factors and conditions that affect fire hazards associated with overhead utility facilities generally and at specific locations. And it specifically asks also, if we look at the language, for the PUC to do the definition of what enhanced mitigation measures are. So I think that this is a general bill. It is helpful across the state. I really expect that both the PUC and the utilities are going to look at cost as a factor. So I'm in support of the bill and want to thank the author very much.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments by the panel? Seeing none, you may close if you wish.
Thank you, Chairman Gatto. I think this is good common sense legislation. Excuse me. We've got you and Bob here.
I got all these lawyers here, these fancy lawyers.
I think the timeliness is profound as we look just at our front pages of our newspapers. But it's time for communication for California's residents to work with the CPUC. And this is a pressing issue, and I respectfully urge an aye vote.
Thank you very much. The motion is due pass and refer to the Natural Resources Committee. Has a recommendation of due pass. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Motion is due pass and re-refer to the Natural Resources Committee. Gatto?
Aye.
Gatto, aye. Patterson? Aye. Patterson, aye. Burke? Aye. Burke, aye. Chavez? Aye. Chavez, aye. Daly? Daly, aye. Eggman? Aye. Eggman, aye. Cristina Garcia? Aye. Cristina Garcia, aye. Eduardo Garcia. Hadley.
Aye.
Hadley, aye. Hernandez. Hernandez, aye. Obernolte.
Aye.
Obernolte, aye. Quirk.
Aye.
Quirk, aye. Santiago. Santiago, aye. Ting. Ting, aye. Williams. Williams, aye.
Measure passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So we're going to lift the call on Mr. Hill's measure, which is Senate Bill 661, lifting the call.
Cristina Garcia. Aye. Cristina Garcia, aye. Hernandez. Hernandez, aye. Ting. Ting, aye. Williams. Williams, aye.
Okay, that measure passes. SB 661 passes, and we're now going to take add-ons up here at the desk, and we're going to hold the roll open for another 2 minutes till about 2:10 to take add-ons, and then we're going to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, can I be added on to the consent calendar, please?
We'll call it out. We'll call the consent calendar. So we're going to open the call on the consent calendar. Here it is.
Cristina Garcia. Aye. Eduardo Garcia. Hernandez. Hernandez, aye. Ting.
Consent calendar. Yes.
Ting, aye. Williams. Williams, aye.
I've seen you do it.
Yeah, after mass. Yeah. I actually thought of something. I think there's a potential. I think there's a potential. There's definitely an
SB 1463, Eduardo Garcia.
Yes.
Eduardo Garcia, aye. Consent calendar, Eduardo Garcia, aye.